the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Let's start with Maria in Clarkston, Georgia. Hello, Maria. Welcome.
Good morning, Patrick Madrid. Wow, this is such an honor getting to talk
thank
to
you.
I'm 78 years old. I've been a Catholic all my life, taught Sunday school for years. I'm still teaching.
Okay.
All of a sudden, 2 weeks ago at a community meeting, I am hearing that some of us were born gay. Wow, I couldn't even breathe after hearing that.
Yeah.
I need ammunition, Mr. Madrid. I'm going to the meeting this evening. I need ammunition. Yeah, how could God make us gay and then give us a commandment? Please, Patrick, help me.
I'll do my best, Maria. Thank you. Well, I look at it this way. The scientists are trying to find a so-called gay gene. They want to find, or some scientists are engaged in this research to see, is there a genetic predisposition to being homosexual? Now, as far as I'm aware, nothing like that has been discovered, but I wouldn't put it beyond what could happen. It could happen that there is a legitimate discovery that shows some genetic predisposition toward homosexuality. So let's take that as, if you want to say, our worst case scenario. Let's say that suddenly science discovers verifiable evidence genetically that some people, this is just how their genetics are. So let's work from that. And I think it's easiest if we take the worst case scenario. I don't know that this ever will be the case, but let's assume that it is. So if that's the case, then let's say, are there any other things that science has discovered in human beings that genetically predispose them towards certain things that are harmful? Yes. So indigenous peoples, Indians as they are also known, have a genetic predisposition toward alcoholism. And so it's a verifiable, proven scientific fact that if people in that population consume alcohol, very bad things tend to happen: drunkenness, car accidents, cirrhosis of the liver, and death, etc. So the goal is, if you are a member of that community that has a genetic predisposition to this particular problem, then what should you do? Well, you shouldn't drink alcohol. There is a genetic link there that can harm you. So this leads to the question of, what about if somebody is homosexually inclined and this is a genetic thing? Well, if that were the case, and many people will tell you, I mean, I shouldn't say, anecdotally, because I only have heard this from a few people, but by observing society, I can see that there are any number of people who were perverted by someone older than them. This is a big part of the priest sexual scandals that came to the surface in a really big way in 2000 and into 2001, where we began to discover that there was this horrifying cadre, thankfully relatively small cadre of priests and bishops who were sexually preying upon adolescent boys. Well, those boys, had they not been preyed upon, would very likely have turned out to be normal heterosexual men. Many of them did get married, and their marriages suffered as a result of what happened to them. So there's no doubt that there are any number of people who are, you might say, initiated into this lifestyle, and then they go in that direction. But the main thing is, as far as the genetics are concerned, my answer to somebody who says that is, so what? What does that prove if somebody is genetically predisposed to be homosexual? If you're looking at it through the lens of being a Christian, as I am, my presupposition is that Jesus calls all of us, every single one of us, to be holy, to pursue virtue, to avoid sin and slavery to our bodily passions. That goes for heterosexual people as much as it goes for homosexual people. So even if the person has a genetic predisposition to this, and science hasn't proven that yet anyway, it doesn't mean that it logically follows, therefore, that you can just hook up with whoever you want to. I can't do that. You can't do that. In order to have, even just from a societal level, without recourse here to religion and to faith in Jesus, even with that aside for a moment, if everybody acted upon his own or her own sexual appetites and impulses indiscriminately, this would be a hellish, chaotic world. And we don't want to live in that world. So the answer ultimately seems to me is, even if somebody is genetically predisposed towards something like this, he should avoid doing things that are harmful to him. Ask medical doctors, ask physicians, what happens to the human body? Let's take male homosexuals. What happens to the human body when you misuse it in that way? When you use the sexual faculties of your body, even just physiologically speaking here, over time, there's tremendous damage done. The incidence of STDs skyrocket, disease, death. I mean, even just in the medical or physiological way of looking at it, you can see that this is a lifestyle that leads to the destruction of the body. Not in every single case, but in many cases. We can look at it from that standpoint. So there's a lot one can say, but I think for me, it would be simply to say, so what? Genetic predisposition. I have a genetic predisposition to like women. I have always been attracted to the opposite sex. Does that mean that I can act on those impulses however I want to? No. I think we have to stand by what Jesus said. He said in Matthew chapter 19, in the beginning, God made them male and female. And this is why a man leaves his parents, leaves his family, and clings to his wife, and the two become one flesh. So Jesus there is describing how God created human sexuality and the institution of marriage and procreation. And that's what I get behind, because Jesus is God and he said so.
This entire episode of the Patrick Madrid Show is on the Relevant Radio app. The Relevant Radio app is completely free and updated daily with fresh articles, podcasts, and prayers. Don't delay. Download the app today. And thanks for listening.